What's up, and welcome to another episode of the Grind Line Podcast. You're listening to episode 287. I am your host, Greg. I'm here tonight with Ryan. There's
Ooh,
actually kind of Red Wings news. I mean, there's news this surrounding the Red Wings, not
it's
really with the Red
more
Wings.
NHL news.
No, but it's team
There's a little bit of
related. So,
news. There's
team
yeah.
and prospect related.
Let's go. We'll keep it more prospect because that's basically all that it is.
Off the top, we still don't have Sider and Raymond contracts. So, what I keep
No,
doing is I keep saying, I'm going to push it a day. We're going to push the recording a day, and then hopefully, magically, a contract will get signed or something. Hasn't happened yet. I don't know.
hasn't
Do you
worked.
think we go into training camp without contracts for Raymond and Cider?
I'd be very surprised if they decided to go that route. That'd be ballsy. They can go into camp and do stuff,
Yeah.
but I mean, you need them to play, not not play.
So we will
That's a
have
big deal.
contracts within the next month is what we will have. So we'll talk about
Hopefully.
training camp. We'll talk about some prospects. What we're going to start with, however, is the other unsigned player the Red Wings have, the other unsigned RFA, which is Jonatan Berggren. Ice Hockey Gifts was awesome enough to, and this will be the first shout out of Ice Hockey Gifts. If you don't follow them over on Twitter, go follow them. They post almost exclusively Red Wings stuff now. But there was an
It's
interview
beautiful.
that was done in a Swedish newspaper or online outlet with Jonatan Berggren, and they asked him about the contract. So the first quote I'm gonna bring up, it says contract. He says contractually, it's pretty clear what makes sense. It just takes some time. I'm not thinking too much about that. That's what you have an agent for, and they handle it. They get in touch every now and then with something new. If so, it says when something new develops. For me, it's just about waiting. So it sounds like they're talking to him, which of
Yeah.
course they are. They didn't trade him. I mean, they still could, but they didn't. And contract talks seem to still be ongoing.
Well, it's like you would have seen him. He was arbitration eligible. If he was that, I'm pretty sure he was. Him and Valeno. You're giving me a look like I'm crazy. Berggren, RFA, little hammer next to his name. He is arbitration
Okay,
eligible.
so he's ARB eligible, did not elect arbitration, which
Did not
generally
elect it.
means that they're close.
It means that they're either close or he just knows and feels that something's going to get done. Because I think of all the guys we probably thought he would have been the one going to arbitration. No,
I'm not sure, even if he went to arbitration, that there would have been much to put him up against with his very limited NHL experience. I knew Joe Veleno. I thought it would be more likely that Joe Veleno would go because he has more NHL experience for an arbitrator to say up do a player to player comparison for
there's
contract.
good comparisons that can be made. Sure,
Yeah, but Berggren, there's less of that. So
got it. Well, that's fair. But I mean, to that point though, he's been, for a lack of better words, a career AHL guy to this point, and I say that loosely because he's 24 years old. But that's typically where you want to see a guy making the jump. Now, he is in the position where he has to clear waivers. So we've talked about him and Albert Johansson, where those are two guys that we've seen primarily in Grand Rapids. Yes, we've had Burgers up in Detroit several times and he's done well. It's kind of been a roller coaster in how he's done, but we haven't seen Johansson yet. So there's the expectation, and Eiserman said as such, those guys are going to have higher expectations, for a lack of better words, to be on this roster and make a case to be on this roster. And I think with Burgers, it's just now probably I feel like something's gonna happen. I don't know when. It's just like Raymond and Cider. It's weird that nothing's happened to this point, but at least we know what we've seen, that these guys are working out and getting ready for the season to start. So it's
you
weird.
figured this would be the easy one, didn't you? Like, hey, here's $1 million. Come back
Well,
for a year.
him and Valeno, I thought would have been so much simpler. Like, I really was surprised to see Valeno go to arbitration. I figured he would have been boom, boom, done, signed, give me a couple years, great depth player. Burgers, I could have seen it only for the sense that the potential's there. But again, it doesn't make sense why he would for how much more AHL time he's had versus NHL. I don't know.
Yeah, that one's weird. They asked him about being traded. He said, on the potential of a trade happening, you never want to say for certain, but I've only talked to Detroit and they have my rights. I've had talks with them and the coach and everyone. The feeling is positive. Lalone called and I've also chatted with the assistant coach. Good talks. It's nice that they call and check in on how you're doing and your thoughts about the upcoming season. It feels positive.
What I love about that quote, that is something from day one, Lalone hammered home that he wanted to be there for his guys,
Players
that he
coach.
wants to get to know them, and he's going to go out of his way to do so. And I think that after these last couple of years speaks to that like no other.
Yeah, I also think that that's also another, I think, positive sign, like he says, toward a contract happening is that coaches are still calling and checking in. They're seeing how your development is going, how your training is
Mhm.
going, how you're doing as a person. That tells me that like Iserman hasn't gone to Lalone and said, we're trading Berggren or we're looking for a trade target or whatever, which not that
I
he
don't think he tells
necessarily
anyone
would.
until it actually happens. That
Yeah.
is the
But it sounds like it's everything is trending in the correct direction. On where his mind is at, he says it's on having a full season in the NHL. It was a bit of a messy season, I won't lie. A lot of up and down. Living in a hotel, living in my car almost, and going back and forth. It was both educational and tough. But regardless where I play, I think it's gone well. Hopefully, the goal is to have a really good season in Detroit.
that'd be
At
great.
in his last comment on the contract, I feel like Detroit wants me, so hopefully we sort out a contract before training camp. That would be 3 of 3 to get done before training camp, but like I said, this one's easy. Just like there's nothing for him to work against. There's nothing for him to say I need a $3 million contract.
Yeah.
Like toss him $1 million, tell him that it's easy for him to earn a spot on the roster and make him a full-time guy like and then extend him next season when you've got a little bit better outlook at where the team is going and what's needed going into the 25-26 season. This one feels like a no-brainer. I don't know why it's so hard.
I mean, the only crazy assumption we can make at this point is that they've got per Puckpedia 17.648 million in cap space. If you're a math whiz, based on the assumptions and projections people are looking at with Raymond and Cider, they're going to almost eat that up by themselves, meaning you've got no money there for burgers. Now, they are able to go over the cap. There is, what is it, a 10% threshold in the offseason in particular, and they
Yeah,
have to be below that number. It's like the first week of October, like 3 or
right
4 days
before
before
game
the start.
1.
Yeah, it's right before the start of the season where they have to be officially cap compliant. Everyone's sent out to their juniors and or the AHL, so you have a roster. So they can do it no matter what. We can't get so stuck on the fact that they are going to be tight against the cap when they make these two signings. Or is there still a move that's going to take place, which where we'll see a couple million somehow get loosened up? I don't know what he'll do at this point because we've passed buyout window twice. We've gone through what likely would have been trade scenarios. It's at this point of the off season, we're roughly what a month away, which I don't want to get too far ahead of us, but we're a month away from one of the best times of the year, and there's no deals.
And it's not like and I looked it up while you were talking, it's not even like he's got like a hard ass agency. Literally an agency I've never heard of. It is
Two
called
burgers?
Yeah, Super 10 is his agency.
Not
Um
like a movie, like a Disney movie.
no, so
His last contract, his signing agent per Puckpedia was Brian and Scott Bartlett.
yeah, Bartlett Hockey is one of the affiliates.
Oh, okay, so that's who he's officially with. Okay, they've got guys like Matt Boldy, Brock Faber. Who else we got here? Justin Hall, Brandsegg-Nygård, Jordan Greenway,
Bartlett
Alex
does,
Tuck.
yes, but Bartlett isn't listed as Berggren's actual agency though.
He's got both guys though.
So either Puckpedia is wrong or EP is wrong. So I think the thing is that they also affiliate with agencies who handle foreign leagues like the SHL
Hmm.
and the agency that's listed as Berggren's agency, the Super 10, is like basically an SHL main agency. Results are inconclusive. In any case though, it's not like he has a hard ass agency. So
Yeah.
Again, it seems like it should have been done by now. It seems like this would be the first domino to fall, and then you figure out the other two. It's going to happen. It's just kind of annoying that it hasn't already. But Berggren isn't the only prospect news. Do we want to cover other stuff? We want to take a quick break first.
We can go break.
Let's get our break out of the way first. We'll be right back after a couple minutes for word from our sponsors. And then we're going to talk about prospect tournament, training camp, a couple other things. We'll be right back in just 1 minute. Bet the action on the ice with DraftKings Sportsbook. It's never too early to get in your Stanley Cup predictions for the 24-25 season. Maybe not the Detroit Red Wings, but hey, maybe you think Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers might actually pull it off this time. So download the app now and use code THPN. New customers can get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on hockey. That's code THPN only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. The crown is yours. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. Copyright NHL 2024. All rights reserved. This episode of the Grindline podcast is brought to you by BetterHelp. Give online therapy a try at betterhelp.com/THPN and get on your way to being your best self. In the age of social media, it looks like everyone has their life on track, but you only see the surface. Comparison is a thief of joy, and it's easy to envy other people's lives. It might look like they have it all together on their Instagram, but in reality, they probably don't. If the perfect social media lives of others are having you down, therapy can help you focus on what you want instead of what others have, so you can start living your best life. Just remember that everyone needs a little bit of help sometimes. It's helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries, and empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma, but also those who are having just trouble in their life in general. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Stop comparing and start focusing with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/THPN today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/THPN. And we're back. And the Detroit Red Wings have announced the dates for the prospect tournament and training camp in Traverse City. The prospect games and Red Wings training camp will run from September 14th through the 22nd. The prospect tournament, and I can't even call it a tournament anymore because it's now just two teams, and you can't have a tournament with only two teams. So the
That
prospect
sucks, man.
scrimmages, I guess you would call them, are going to happen first, and then training camp always happens the week after.
That sucks. It really
It
does.
does.
Like that was such a neat event, and I can see why. I don't know the real reason why teams aren't doing it, but the way things have evolved and how you can set things up, you can keep it all in house, make things a lot easier. It actually brings your own fans in, so you can make some money off it. So I can see that aspect of it, but I don't know. I
It makes me
I
wonder
still
how
want to
much
go.
longer it's going to happen at Traverse City. In 2017, they put a lot of money into Center Ice Arena to get it up to like NHL standards, and they said that it was going to be at least 3 more seasons for training camp there, and I think they said 5 for prospect tournament. And we're like right at the end of that. So I'm wondering if just next season they move it in house and do everything at Belfour.
I don't think they will. I think that they've got a great partnership up there. There's a lot of alumni that like to go up there and engage. They've got all the stuff, the local scenery, the bars, the golfing. Yes, I know you can do a lot of those things here, but that is the season time kickoff. Now let's go. Like to me, that's like that's a traditional thing you don't want to break away from.
But I mean, if they can't get other teams up there to do anything, then maybe they just do prospect stuff in Detroit and training camp. I just can't see
It could
them.
be now that could possibly I could see that happen.
doing prospect like scrimmages in at Belfour.
Yeah, I could see that. But at the same time, you also want to have some of these guys with the club. Because if you do something like that, from what we understand, you're gonna have Brandsegg-Nygård and is gonna be in the States for that. You want him around that atmosphere. You want to be have him around some of the AHL guys to get a feel. You want to have him see what the NHL guys are doing to prepare for on a day like this. Like I think you still got to keep that cohesion of the prospects in the main club.
I just don't again, I don't know if it's and
It
we've
doesn't interrupt
seen
anything.
no, but we've seen Illich cut money in other areas, right? And
No.
you've got to pay travel to get everyone to Traverse City. You've got to pay lodging to put everyone up there. It's again, it's another expense when if you did it at Belfour, it's your own arena. You don't have to pay to shuttle everyone there. You don't have to pay to put them up in a hotel. You'd save money there. And I think that is the one big thing that a lot of people are complaining about Illich about, especially with the Tigers, is that he's not willing to spend the money. So I look at it from that angle, and then also from the angle of who is it? Is it Dallas this year? Who's the other team for
I
the prospect game?
I think it is Dallas, and that's where the Jim Nill connection comes in.
So once
Now I gotta
they
check.
say, sorry, we're going to do our own thing next season, then you really have nothing left. That's like it, unless you can rally a couple other teams to come up.
See, and the reason I don't foresee anything crazy happening in terms of the prospects going elsewhere, Detroit is still worth, according to Forbes, as of 2022, $1.03 billion.
They
If
might need to
if you're telling
reevaluate
me,
because now they say that the Lightning are valued at 2 billion.
well, this is a couple years old, so it probably all the teams have probably gone up in some fashion. But if you're telling me you've got a club that's worth over $1 billion, which there's actually quite a few clubs that are worth over $1 billion, and you can't get some of these guys here,
I think it's just I don't I know that like now West
if
Coast
that's where you're going
teams
to pinch pennies, you can go ahead and blow it up your ass.
I know West Coast teams have done West Coast stuff. Like they also like to stay in their time zone. Toronto's come historically in for the prospect tournament. Columbus is come. I don't know why on earth Columbus wouldn't come for the prospect tournament.
Hmm.
You got all these teams that are close. Minnesota, they're close. Dallas is probably the furthest away, and they make their way here. So I'm not sure why. And maybe the Red Wings say, well, they say we've been going there for so long. Maybe it's time for Detroit to come over to us or whatever. But it's sad, like you said, because it's an awesome event, and the volunteers that are there are fantastic. You always have a great time when you go. Traverse City is a wonderful city, and it's just you get to be. It's a more personal atmosphere when you're at
Yeah.
those games because it's like professionals playing at your local rink, which is really cool.
See, here's what sucks though, because yeah, Center Ice Arena gets all the fun, but there's only two games, like actual games taking place
Yeah.
outside of the practices and everything else.
Yep.
So, and there's one game on Saturday, one game on Sunday.
Yeah.
That part sucks.
Yeah. Because it used to be 3 days, and there were like 4 games a day,
Yeah.
and now it's down to two. So like I said, after that, it's training camp. Training camp does have the scrimmages. They do the red white game. That'll be really cool because the big
Hmm.
announcement there is that Michael Brandsegg-Nygård and Axel Sandin-Pellikka will both be at Red Wings training camp. That historically does not happen. Players that play in the SHL, their season starts at the end of September. So to have them in Traverse City up until the 22nd with the team, I think one, like you mentioned earlier, fantastic for development. Fantastic to be
Hmm.
around the NHL guys to get those reps in, to play those scrimmage games, to get on the ice with the professionals to see how they need to push themselves. Could it
It,
be that maybe they're in a like moonshot kind of thing? Maybe they're pushing for a roster spot?
that is weird, is it not?
It's weird.
Because the SHL is usually already started by that point, which is why more often than not, we don't see guys like that. So I mean, the door was left wide open. Was it for Nygaard or Palika? that
Well, Nygaard said that he's going to train and try and push for a spot, but most likely he's not. He's going to be going back to the SHL.
well, I was more referring to even Grand Rapids.
Oh yeah,
Like,
no, I mean they basically had said, yeah, he'll go play in Skellefteå with ASP.
right, but I don't know that it's just interesting to me. Yeah, so it's Yahoo has a good little write up for it because they quoted it as saying, what was this article from? Oh, today. Look at that. It's unusual for players in the SHL to cross the Atlantic for NHL training camps. The league's season, the SHL, usually starts in mid September, which is when we're going to have training camp, with August serving as their month full of its own training camps. So that's where I think it's super interesting. But I also props to Skellefteå for allowing them to come over here and do that. But because I think it was just Lars and it made its way around, but like both those guys are on their second power play unit right now.
Yeah,
Like it's not like they're just
they're not just
bodies on this
there,
team.
right?
Like there is some importance to both of them needing to be over in Sweden. And here they are. They're just being like, hey, we're gonna go over to Detroit and Michigan for about a month. We'll see you guys soon.
It's cool though that they're going to be able to do it because again, that's a bonus for the people that are there to watch training camp and to watch the prospect tournament. That also gives the Red Wings, I think, a bigger leg up in the prospect tournament, but well, prospect games. But it's good to be able to get those guys who are two of your top prospects
Hmm.
into action, get them a taste of it, let them know where they need to go moving forward. Because you can try and train them up all you want and give them like a schedule to work on and tell them what they need to work on. But until they get on the ice with those guys, they really don't know what that is like. Now,
Right.
ASP does a little bit more because he's playing in a men's league and Brandsegg-Nygård to a lesser extent, but it'll be good to get them that on ice experience and especially the other stuff they do, the nutritional training,
Yeah.
the kind of the off ice stuff that they teach them too is super valuable. Like when we talked to Amadeus Lombardi, and if you haven't listened to it, go back and listen to last week's episode where we interviewed Amadeus Lombardi. That said that off ice stuff is super important to getting their body in shape, getting their fitness level up, putting on weight, adding muscle, and just the nutrition is one of the most important parts.
Well, even to that point, I mean, Watson mentioned it. Grand Rapids coach Dan Watson mentioned the European guys come in with a little bit of a more understanding of what it's like to be on their own because it's a little more familiar to them in on the European side. But what I really loved, like to your point about Lombardi, the dude cooks and he loves to cook, and
Both in the
that is
kitchen and on the ice.
that's ooh, too well played, well played. But that's a rarity, and you can tell in just the way he was talking about it the last couple of years and what he's learned through these programs and just being a part of it, how much better it's made him in thinking about his health and what he has to be going towards in terms of nutrition. So yeah, to that point, just for this season, I mean, Sandin-Pellikka hit a little bit for the prospect stuff last year. We didn't see him. Was he there for the actual training camp? I don't think he actually was last season.
I don't believe so either. No, but he was there for development camp this season.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Development camp, that's the word. But that's another point where they have all of that type of nutritional thing going on, and they continue it through here. So but again, it's just going back and seeing. To me, it's seeing the NHL level talent and letting these kids be a part of it. That I think says more than anything else they can possibly do at this point. Obviously, having a good camp goes a long way for them at that point. But like when we were talking to Lombardi, and he mentioned how he looked up to Kane when he was growing up. Now he's going to get to be on the same ice with him. That's huge. That is a way to help guys develop. And we saw going back to the years of Datzig Zetterberg and what they came up under in terms of Hall of Fame talent and what they got to understand and watch these guys go. That's invaluable experience.
So the other small piece of prospect news is that mentioning Michael Brandsegg-Nygård, he and Marco Casper will both be representing their countries in Olympic hockey qualifiers from the 29th of August to the
Say that
1st of
just
September.
say what that is
Oh,
one
oh,
more
you mean
time.
Olympic hockey, like NHL
Oh
in Olympic
God,
hockey?
yes.
Yeah, so they will be trying out for their country's teams. That will be Brandsegg Nygaard for Norway and Marco Casper for Austria.
Love
I
it.
assume that the Red Wings will have a lot of representation in the Olympics. Lucas Raymond, I believe, is getting the call for the qualifiers for Team Sweden. Dylan Larkin very well could be on Team USA. Alex DeBrincat could be on Team USA. There's
Mhm.
Patrick Kane, if he's still kicking, might get a veteran backup nod for Team USA. But
That cider,
there's a lot of Red Wings that have the possibility to go represent their country at the Olympics. And again,
Trey
NHL
Augustine.
players at the Olympics again. Mo Sider for Germany, he's absolutely going to make that team. So it's exciting because if you watch the Paris Olympics, they were really good, like really good. Like there's a very entertaining Summer Olympics this year.
Oh, you mean in general? I was like, wait, hockey?
Yeah, no, just in
No.
general.
It's the one time I can actually watch and love basketball because that is the most team play that I've seen since the '04 Pistons.
Yeah, I liked breakdancing was interesting. I started watching breakdancing and I'm like, what is this? Like, this is terrible. And then the more it went on, I'm like, this is really good. Like,
It's it
keep it
if as
going.
long as you didn't watch Australia, you were good.
No, no, I didn't. But NHL players back in Olympic hockey is
Love it.
really like I've always
Friggin' love it.
liked Winter Olympics better than Summer Olympics, but this just it takes it to the next level because it's hockey. It's like the best of the best. You can now call it the best of the best in the Olympics.
Regardless, the Olympics are just fantastic because every time USA is out there competing, I was losing my shit. Especially with the track and field and swimming, it's just, oh, love it.
Gymnastics. Oh,
Gymnastics, duh, of course. Simone, ooh, she's her reactions and the way she flies through the air. We're going off completely topic now at this point. It's just the most impressive thing. And that Andres though from Brazil, she wasn't messing around. That was impressive from her side as well.
no, when you shock Tom Brady, you've done something right. And Simone Biles might be the best athlete alive currently because what she
Oh,
can do is
absolutely.
absolutely insane. But it's cool that MBN and Marco Casper have the ability to go try out for the Olympic team. I'm not sure how I'd have to go look at the competition for Austrian players and Norwegian players, but I'm sure that they probably are pretty poised to grab a spot. But I think that's all we got tonight, right? Oh, you want to talk about hats?
I do. New Era finally officially announced that they have hats for sale on their website in
Some of them look
conjunction
sweet.
with the NHL. I haven't looked at the other teams. I did just go check out the Wings. They've got this one. So this hat that I'm wearing, which for anyone not watching YouTube didn't see anything that I just pulled out. Red New Era 5950 was only for sale, and I've talked about this before at Little Caesars Arena. It is now available for mass production online, and it makes me so happy. It
I
has some
like
good snapbacks.
the black and red like tie-dye-ish one because it will match
Yeah.
my Griffin shirt that's like black and red tie-dye-ish
Oh,
with the huge Griffins logo on the front.
they had some clothing in there. A lot of it was more like throwback stuff, which was actually kind of neat.
Did you see the Anaheim hat?
I did not.
Okay, so
You'll
it's
have
got
to.
like the new Ducks logo on the front, but the hat is like a mountains scene. It's all like bright blue and like brown and stuff. It looks real. So they're killing it. I looked at a bunch of the different hats and they're destroying the hat game and it's better than anything Fanatics could ever produce ever.
It seriously makes me so happy because I have complained so long wanting New Era in the NHL to finally rekindle their love, and it's back, and it's available online as of today, and it's so great.
Yeah, I think the last thing was that if you want tickets to the Stadium Series, pretty
Good
sure you got to
luck.
buy them on resale market now because I'm
Yeah, I
pretty
dropped
sure
the
they
ball on
sold
that
out.
one.
And they're insanely expensive, like stupid expensive. There's a few people that I saw that were able to get their tickets to the Stadium Series. I'd totally go, except for that I'm not bringing children out into the frigid cold to sit there through a hockey game. I would do
It
it
might not be
myself.
too bad. It's going to be March 1st.
Dude, do you know that? Go look at what the temperature was this March 1st. Okay, so it wasn't that bad. Friday, March 1st, 2024 was 48 and cloudy. So it's
Yeah,
brisk.
that's going to make it pretty tough to keep that ice at a
Yeah,
good.
you might have some pretty shit ice conditions,
Yeah.
especially if it rains, because at that temperature, it's not snowing to keep the ice frozen. It's
Nope.
raining to turn it into slush.
I mean, it's not like it couldn't be snowing. Crazy things have happened.
So if you want to get your Stadium Series tickets, I guess go on StubHub or wherever you get your tickets from because
Yeah.
you're not getting them directly from the Red Wings anymore. But Ryan, I think it's going to do it for us. I want your final thoughts before we sign off tonight.
Final thoughts. I'm happy for the hats. I was waiting for that one. If you haven't, other than just the Stadium Series, Red Wings tickets are officially on sale. So make sure
Yeah,
you go try to find those.
those are also
I'm
very
very
expensive this
Yes,
season.
they are. And I'm also very sad that we don't have our half season ticket plan, but it's appropriate that we don't because kids and life is just too hectic. But yeah, give us contracts, Steve. Already ran 33.
Yeah, we're gonna do this again. Hopefully, when I hit post tomorrow, he signs the contracts. Oh, so my final thought will be we did have a Patreon question. Burner asks, who's each of our favorite prospects that's currently in the system and who are we most
Oh,
like that we're most excited for? I am going to say Sebastian Kosa. I want to see another year of him lighted on fire in Grand Rapids and just destroy that starter net.
I like that. I think mine right now is Pelika because we've talked about and what I had the most excitement for is he reminded me of a young, a more athletic almost Brian Rafalski. And if that is what he could potentially bring to this team, look out.
And next Friday, if you want something to do, Vintage Detroit will be doing a tailgate open house. There's going to be food. There is going to be a raffle for a free customized jersey. We always have a fun time out at Vintage Detroit. It is from
Lions jersey,
8
mind you,
a.m. Yeah,
a
Lions
Lions
jersey, 8
jersey.
a.m. to 4 p.m. on Friday, August 23rd. So maybe I'll stop by. Let's see how work is. But we might stop by and talk to our friends out at Vintage Detroit. But yeah, you can head out there. Their food is always awesome. The people are always awesome. You can kind of see their production on the back end and how everything works. They're not afraid to walk people back through the back room and show them how the jerseys get stitched up and how the shirts get made. So go
They're
check
so
out Vintage
awesome. They
Detroit
really are.
on Friday, August 23rd. You can follow me online at Bringing the Wing. You can follow the Grindline Podcast online at Grindline Pod. We thank the Hockey Podcast Network for hosting us and spreading us around. You can go sub to us on YouTube and turn on the notifications. You'll be notified whenever an episode goes live. We also have a Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/the Grindline Podcast, there's some pretty cheap options that help us keep the lights on, keep our subscriptions going. And just as kind of like a thank you for the show, we've had some people do that. They're like, I don't even want anything. We just like thank you for making the show. So patreon.com/the Grindline Podcast. But that is going to do it for us tonight. So for Ryan, I am Greg. You stay classy, Hockey Town.